I have a Deckel or a Dachshund, and also a local dog. I think a combination between Bali dog and what's that? She's black and white. So yeah, I mean, I try to give good care to my pets.
Yes, exactly. So that's what happens when you have pets. They become something that you love and care for very much, right? But something that is not very much talked about is when the pets go to the labor. You know, actually, as the owner, we need to put all of our effort and focus to make sure that they are cared for. But there are some things that you also need to be mindful of. And this morning, we are going to talk with Dr. Fiza from Amore Animal Clinic, who will give us tips on how to prepare our pets to face pregnancy. Good morning, Doc.
Morning, Dr. Fiza. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic, Doc. I am personally fascinated by it as well. Before we talk about pets' pregnancy, let's talk about the before pregnancy, which is the mating process. So what should pet owners prepare to find the perfect mate for their pets?
Okay, basically, if you're planning to breed your pet, you need to make sure that they are well fed, using a well balanced food with optimal nutrition for them to prepare their bodies. And your pet should also be fully vaccinated, and it should also be receiving their deworming tablets regularly. When it comes to the mate, it really depends on the owner, on the type or the breed of the stud that they want.
And can you mix breed, for example? Like, sometimes I wonder, every time I go to Como Park, right, this dog park, I see big dogs and small dogs. And sometimes I wonder, can they mate like the big dogs and the small dogs? Is that healthy? Is that dangerous?
That could be very dangerous, especially if the dam or the mother is a small dog, because the babies will usually be very, very large. So these mixed breeds will usually require C-sections. But if the mother is the large dogs, then it is pretty safe. It's just a little bit hard to actually mate them because the dad would be too short.
Right. But actually, it's just like human beings, right? When they wanted to get pregnant, they need to sort of stabilize their bodies, give nutrition, right? So just give the right environment for the babies, right? Now,
That's true.
when they become pregnant, is there any like sort of human hormone changes, just like humans do as well?
Yeah, of course. Some dogs actually get a little bit crankier. They get more sassy during pregnancy, while others, they get more affectionate, so their behaviors also change. Some might also have morning sickness, usually during the 3rd or 4th week of their pregnancy.
So they would puke.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what kind of care do pets need when they're pregnant?
Okay, there are some things that you really need to be mindful of during this period. The first of all is definitely their food. You need to make sure that the food you're feeding them contains enough nutrition for both the mom and the babies.
So does
I
that
would
mean that you need
recommend
to add the amount of the food?
It would be preferable to change the type of the food, because their stomach would actually get pressed by the amount of the babies. So they would eat smaller meals, but the nutrition should be higher.
Right.
So it would be better to feed pregnant and lactating dams and queens using food formulated for kittens and puppies, because they're higher in nutrition and calories.
Got it. So what actually needs to be prepared before the delivery itself?
Okay. You need to prepare a nesting box, some sterilized scissors, sewing threads, alcohol, iodine, and a baby or a kitchen scale, depending on the size of your pets. If you have a cat, then a kitchen scale would probably work best. But if you have a Labrador or a Golden Retriever, then you would probably need a baby scale to weigh them.
Is it like humans, Doc? For example, with humans, sometimes some mothers or some women can decide to have C-section. But with the dogs, can we actually determine the dates they will go on labor? And probably because we're not experts, we're not like you, we're not vets. So we would think that it would be safer for our pets to give labor in a vet, at a veterinarian. Hi, Doc. Dr. Visa. I think we've lost the connection with Dr. Visa. Oh my God, this is such a fascinating conversation.
And I think it's just like humans, right? Before they got pregnant, they have to choose the right mate.
Yeah.
And then they have to prepare their body for the right environment for the baby.
Exactly. And I never thought of this because I used to have a dog named Brie Vandekamp. You know, that's the character from Desperate Housewives.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I called her Brie Vanderkamp, rest her soul. So she gave birth. I didn't know that she got pregnant.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden, oh, hi, Dr. Visa, you're back.
Hi,
I'll continue my
sorry.
story later.
I'm sorry.
Yes, doctor, what was my question earlier? Oh, yeah, about determining the date to give labor. Can we actually do that with dogs or cats? Just to make sure that
You
we
can do
bring them to the
estimates.
hospital or to the vet for them to give birth.
With dogs and cats, you would actually need to do an ultrasound.
Right.
It would be best to do the ultrasound during day 25 to 35 post-mating, and then the doctor would estimate when the dog would be giving birth. And then it would, during the later stage of the pregnancy, when it is actually their due date, they would do a continuous ultrasound. They would keep doing ultrasounds every few hours or few days, depending on the condition of your pet, to determine if the baby is ready to come out.
Right. How long does it take for, like for humans, it's 9 months, but for dogs or cats, how many months is that?
Okay. It's around 2 months. It can range anywhere between 58 to 70 days, but the averages is around 63 to 67 days.
Okay.
But if your dog is pregnant and it had not delivered any baby after the 70th day, then you would definitely to take her to the vet because the baby is probably stuck.
Oh, no.
Now, when the baby is actually finally born, the offspring is finally born, what should we, pay attention to, and how should we care for both the mother as well as the offspring?
Okay, for the mother, you still need to continue giving her food formulated for kittens and puppies because she still needs a lot of nutrition because she's feeding both herself and her babies through her milk. You can also give her some kitten or puppy milk replacer to boost the amount of calories she's receiving. For the mother, you would also need to pay close attention to her appetite. Nursing mothers are usually really, really ravenous. They're almost always hungry. So if they stop eating, it is usually an indication that they're not well.
Right, right.
You also still need to be mindful of their vaginal discharge. A small amount of brownish discharge may be normal up to 3 weeks after delivery, but if she's producing greenish or smelly discharge, then it is definitely time to take her to the vet.
Okay.
As for the babies, they're going to spend most of their time sleeping and nursing during the first few weeks. An easy way to monitor them is by weighing them daily and keeping a close record of their weight. Newborn kittens and puppies need to gain weight daily. So if they're not gaining any weight or if they are actually losing weight, then you definitely need to take them to the vet.
Right.
Right. What about, like, for example, I used to have hamsters as well, Doc. And I learned that when they've just given birth, we should just leave them alone in a dark place so that they can feel secure. Otherwise, if the mother doesn't feel secure, the mother would actually eat the offspring. So what about with dogs? Because you mentioned earlier that we as pet owners, we have to weigh the pups daily or the kittens daily. How do cats or dogs react when human beings are touching their pups? They're probably very protective at the moment.
It really depends on the dogs. If you are really bonded with your dog, most dogs usually won't mind. As for cats, most of them don't really mind either, except if they're wild. If they're still a little bit wild, then you probably doesn't need to interfere at all with their birth process and just leave them alone. But if they are very domesticated, if you have a close relationship and bond with them, then they really wouldn't mind and they would not eat the baby because you touched their baby.
Yeah, I was traumatized when my hamster, my mother hamster ate the babies. I'm like, no, why?
I also experienced that with cat as well because I have a stray cat at home. We just gave birth and we provided food. And then my mom keep on telling us that, oh, don't touch the babies, otherwise the mother won't touch them or won't go near them anymore.
And abandon them.
And abandon them, yes. But that's actually not true, right? Because they actually won't mind or won't be affected by the smell of humans or whatnot.
Most of them won't mind, but for cats that are really, really wild, they might mind. So you need to know your pet best.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
So what other do's and don'ts that we as pet owners should do or not do when our pets just gave birth to their pups or kittens?
When they have just given birth, there's not really a lot of things that you should do. If they're taking good care of the baby, then just leave them alone.
Yeah.
But if the mother is not producing enough milk, or if she's rejecting the litter, then you would need to hand feed the baby every 2 to 3 hours. So this is gonna be exhausting, but it's very rewarding.
Oh, it's so sweet.
So sweet. So is there any, dangerous, movement or sort of indication, to make sure that when that happened, then it's time for us to get to the vet. Can you share us a bit more on that?
Okay. During the delivery process, if your queen or dam had been straining really hard for more than 20 minutes, but no baby is coming out, then you definitely need to take her to the vet. Also, if you know the delivery process is not over, if you're expecting 5 kittens, the doctor told you that there are 5 kittens, and 3 had been born, but the other 2 had not been born, and it's been 2 hours since the last birth, then you definitely need to take them to the vet too. Also, if you want to watch out for her vaginal discharge. If it had been 30 minutes, she started producing greenish discharge and no baby is coming out. Or if she's producing a lot of blood discharge for more than 10 minutes, or if the discharge is foul smelling, then a trip to the vet is definitely in order.
All right. So, Doc, is it important for us pet owners to provide extra care for our pets and their pups after in the following months after labor? And if it is, what kind of care do they need from us? Because my question, I asked you this question because when it comes to animals, I know that cats and dogs are domesticated animals, but animals in nature, animals in the wild, they don't necessarily need our help, right? They just give birth and they just know naturally what to do. So when it comes to our pets, is it that important for us to give extra care for them post-labor? And what kind of care?
Okay, right after labor, if your pet is displaying a strong maternal instinct, then your job is definitely done. All you need to do is clean up and enjoy your time with the new additions to your family. But if the mother is ignoring her babies, then you need to interfere and make sure that the babies are able to breathe properly. First of all, they need to be able to breathe because the moment they leave their womb, they're no longer getting oxygen from their mother. So they need to start breathing. When they came out, they will be covered in this greenish, slimy sack that the mother would instinctively eat. But if she's not doing that, then you need to tear it open, take the baby out, and clean out any fluid that might be covering or blocking the nose and the mouth.
Right.
And then you would want to stimulate their breathing by rubbing them. You should rub them from their tail to their head continuously over and over and over again until they started crying. But once they started crying, you know that it is breathing. Next, you would need to cut off the umbilical cord using a sterilized scissor.
Right.
You would need to tie a knot about 1 to 2 centimeters away from the baby's tummy using a sewing thread that had been dipped into iodine. And make the cut about 3 to 4 centimeters away from the tummy. So baby, not cut. Baby, not cut. And then you just need to make sure that the babies are comfortable and clean and dry, and help them nurse by placing them as close as possible to their mother's teats. As long as the mother is not rejecting them and as long as the mother is producing enough milk, then that's it. You're set.
Okay, cool. Wow, we're learning a lot today, Rasha.
I know. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Fia, for your time. It was such a great pleasure to talk to you. I think we learned a lot from you today. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Visa.
Bye.
Wow, that was fascinating.
Yes.
That was fascinating because I didn't do that because I didn't have that knowledge before with Brie Van de Kamp, rest her soul. But yeah, both of my dogs are female, Rasha, but they've been spayed. So they're not going to produce any pups. And I've also heard from my vet, my personal vet in Kelapa Gading actually, she said